I'm wearing blue today to support.
Yay! Oh, hi, everybody. My name is Katie. I am with BlueNotary, and today we have Destinee. She is a very successful TikToker that has built her business through social media. So I just invited her on, and she was gracious enough to sit down with me and have a chat.
Yes, thank you for having me, Katie. It was so nice to meet you and the BlueNotary team at the NNA conference. I had such a great time. I was bopping around like crazy, and it was just so great to get to know you guys a little bit better and get to know BlueNotary. And you guys have a whole bunch of new features out and stuff, and it's just so exciting. And I did a test with a friend the other day, and I was like, oh, BlueNotary, all right.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, we put all the work into it, and we really tried to listen to what the notaries kind of wanted and like all of their feedback. So we have a lot of new goodies within the platform for the notaries to be able to kind of delve into. So yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, so I just had a couple questions for you, or just kind of like things that I think notaries might have questions. But before I get into it, how did you kind of get started? Like, what's your origin story for virtual notarization?
Sure. So I became a notary in October of 2021, and I learned about notary in general because my coworker behind me was trying to get a notary at her bank. And I used to work in a cubicle, 9-to-5 lifestyle. And so I overheard my coworker in the back. She's like, I need to get a notary done and my bank can't do it. And so I guess I have to go and hire like a mobile notary. And I'm like, what is that? Right? Like, what are mobile notaries? What is a notary public? Why does she need it done? It sounds like something because I've only used a notary once in my life. So I know what the process was like, but I didn't know you could do it outside of a bank.
Yeah.
And so I fell down the rabbit hole, started learning about the notary public lifestyle, the business, everything. And I just, I fell down the rabbit hole and I just started like researching, taking notes, finding out how much it costs for me to get my commission, finding out the business part of everything. And then I realized I could do it from home. And that was like an ultimate life changer. Yes. Yeah. I'm getting chills right now because I remember the day that I realized I could start a work from home business as a RON,
Yeah.
And so that was just a game changer for me. And then that was when I realized I'm like, oh, I'm so getting out of my cubicle. I am so starting this business and I am so working from home. So yeah, that's pretty much my origin story. It took me about 4 months for me to get everything going, from the moment that I decided to get my notary commission to the moment that I was officially on my RON platform working. It was about 4 months from October to about January.
Okay.
Is that 4 months or is that 3?
I think it's 4.
3.5?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And so, and I taught myself everything that I know. I mean, I did take some training courses. I did do loan signing agent training. I did, some stuff here and there. But for the most part, I mean, I really learned best when I put my head in, the computer and do research and find the answers I'm looking for. And so that's my origin story. Now, Irons Notary Services is up and running. Yes. And I've been in business now for since a year and a half, but I didn't really start taking my business seriously until July of last year. So I would say it's almost 1 year that I've been independent in my business. But for the first, thank you. Yeah. And 6 months of my business was just taking clients that my RON platform was providing and just kind of getting my feet wet, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's everything.
Well, that's exciting. Yeah. I have like a little bit of a similar story where I was in finance beforehand, and then I switched over to this because originally I was mobile, and then I found out about virtual. So it was the same thing, a light bulb moment, because I was like, I can stay at home. I don't have to travel to a client, print out the two documents for each one. You know, like I have a love-hate with my printer. So
yeah, those packages, they add up quickly. The cost of the paper and the ink.
yes.
And the driving, and then, okay, like what if something goes wrong with the signing? You have to go back to your house and print everything.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, not fun.
Yeah. On a side note, I just now had to add a document mid-session through BlueNotary with a loan signing because they forgot like 2 forms. So it was like, like, all right, I'm glad that we did this. I'm glad that we have this now. But yeah. So, okay. A different question that I have for you is, how would you explain, or like, how would you encourage notaries that have done all of their research, they're ready, and they are terrified to do their first remote online notarization? Like, what's your tip, or like, what's your encouragement, I guess, for them?
Yeah, so I always suggest that new notaries that are terrified to meet with their first client, they should definitely practice with a friend, a coworker, or a family member. I know we're not supposed to notarize for our family, but you're not really notarizing for them, right? You're practicing with them. Yes. So I always say practice with somebody you trust, somebody that supports you and wants you to like see your business succeed, that is, you know, you want to feel comfortable with the person that you're practicing with, right? If there's someone that is like, you're going to suck at this, you're bad or whatever, you don't know what you're doing, do not go to that person, okay? Go to the person that you feel has an understanding of what you're doing and they want to see you succeed. And so I always recommend practice. Get like you can literally get like a blank sheet of the document, a Word document, something, right? Upload it to the RON platform, test it out with your friend, have them go through the KBA process, have them go through because you need to know as a notary what your signer is going to be going through on their end. Yeah. So you can help them, right? Yes. If they get stuck with uploading their document, or if they get stuck with their ID, or if they get stuck on the questions, like, it helped me a lot to know what my signer is going through so I know how to help them, but also so I can understand and just be a better RON, you know? Yeah. And so, I always recommend starting off with a friend, even if it's just with a little, you know, dummy paper, practice paper, whatever the heck, and upload it on there and go through it like it's a legitimate signing. You know, ask them the legal questions, have them hold up their ID into the webcam, you know, put your stamp on there. And then, of course, you're going to cancel the session, right? You're not going to go through with it. Yeah. But that's my big tip, is practice makes perfect. And I, you know, on my very first RON session, I was extremely honest with my client and said, this is my first time. Like, honesty is the best policy. I'm like, listen, this is my first time completing an online notarization. Bear with me as we walk through it together. Yeah. He was so cool about it. He was like, oh, that's my first time too. I'm like, okay, great.
It's perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea. And then the other thing that I was like, when I first did it, I did it with Kaylin and everything too, but then I did it to like a dummy email. So that I could just do it myself on like my own pace and just kind of like as slow as I wanted, because I didn't want to bug everybody all the time, but I wanted to look at it so much. So I did everything a good amount of times, like, and then I printed out the script. It was like reading it through. So yeah, no, that was
yeah. Are you kidding me? My script is my safety blanket. I have done, you know, over 1,000 RON transactions, and I could tell you right now that I have used my script for every single one of them. I mean, you would think by now I would have it memorized, and I think if someone held a gun to my head, I guess yes, I would have it memorized. Yeah. But it's just a safety blanket. It's like, it's something that I know I'm not going to mess up. I know I'm not going to skip a question. I know that everything is going to go as planned. So don't be embarrassed out there. If you're a notary that's like embarrassed to use a script, don't be. Katie and I still use one.
Yeah. No, I don't want to miss anything. So then I like know how important all the questions are. So then I'm like, all right, I want to make sure that this is legal. So I always go through the script, and especially if it's like a sworn statement or anything. But I have like a thing that I automatically do each time, like before I do anything else. I have like step by step by step, because like my life is just checklists.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I do is the exact same thing over and over again. So that way, in case anything like comes at me, I am like, what's the next step on the checklist? Like, it's not that big of a deal, kind of. So
I love that. And you have to manage your business in a way that is going to be efficient for you and your client. And so checklist all the way. I love it. And scripts all the way. To-do lists all the way.
Yeah. So I like it. And then do you have any other tips as far as like what's one thing about being a remote online notary that kind of surprised you that you wouldn't have like expected within like even your business or in general? Like,
ooh, that's a good question. What's one thing that has surprised me? It surprises me how many people still don't know about Ron. I mean, they don't know about it. And then I feel like I'm over here like a little Ron teacher to my clients, having to like explain to them what it is, how great it is, how convenient it is, and how everything works. So I think, if there's a notary out there that is feeling like, man, I just am not getting maybe the signings that I want, you probably have to advocate for Ron.
Yeah.
People know mobile notaries exist, right? Mm-hmm. But the Ron, even though it's been around since like 2012, a lot of people still don't know about it. And it's been almost 10 years.
Yeah.
So we're definitely still, I think, in the beginning stages of it becoming more mainstream. And so I advocate a lot. So yeah, it was very surprising to me to like walk into an attorney's office and they've never heard of it before. And I'm like, this could be a game changer for your firm. What do you mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, I go to networking events. Well, all the time. I go to networking events. Like I went to one last night. They had...
Oh, really? Where did you go?
It was a young professionals down in my local town. So I went down there, and I might as well have been speaking a different language when they're like, oh, well, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a virtual notary. And they're like, what is that? And so like I go through the whole spiel, but they have no idea. But then it's funny, as soon as I say that, they're like, well, I need your card. And I'm like, yes, thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Like I've never been met by anything. Like I know that sometimes people are a little bit nervous about kind of like saying what they do and like putting yourself out there, but it 100% is it's easy to market because it's something that they need and something that they want. So as soon as I say what it is, they see the value of what it is to their business. It's just getting out there and getting in front of them. So it's always very hard, like in general, but for me to put myself out there. So
I remember when we spoke at the NNA conference that you said you went to the construction convention. I don't even know what it's called. What is it called?
Yeah, no, they're just construction conventions. They do mixers all the time.
Yeah. So, and you said that like you went out there, passed out your cards, met people, and they needed you.
Yes, 100%. Like I still get emails from them for all of these notice of commencements. Like they'll send 9 at a time, and then they'll send me like the information that I need, and then I set it up. So it's kind of nice because the way that I set it up is they send it to me, and then I send it to the clients. So then it's kind of like on my schedule rather than them telling me when I'm doing everything. So I set my schedule. So that's kind of how I would suggest to set it up with like different businesses. But how do you like to set it up with businesses and everything?
So it depends. So you have to communicate with your clients and figure out what works best for them. Like if they give me a time frame, like, hey, we need this document back by like this date, I'm like, okay, great. I'll reach out to the signer and see when we can schedule that before that due date, right? But I personally, I like to get things done as soon as possible. So that way I can just get it off my mind, get it done. But I feel like there are certain clients that give me a date and a time. They're like, hey, I already spoke to my signer. they're available on this day and this time, then of course I have to accommodate that, you know?
Yeah.
So it really just depends on like the business or the client, like what they prefer, you know? But I really love when I get to make my own schedule. So those are like the best ones where they're like, we don't care as long as it's done by this date. I'm like, okay, great. Love it.
Those are my favorite too. Cause and then it's funny because sometimes when I used to talk to, the clients that used to work with like, title agencies, I'm like, well, why did you choose this time to the people? And they're like, no, the title just told me. And I'm like, well, if a different time would have worked better for both of us, like when I was a mobile notary, I think that it can always be a conversation with like title companies or like, the signers. So that way we can make sure that everything makes sense the best for everybody. And then a different tip that I just have been utilizing as far as like with title companies, because when you have like the title companies, usually they have like these huge packages and the things that need notarized are not as many as like the huge packages. So what I've been asking title companies is like once I develop a relationship, not sending the ones that don't need notarizations and then sending that via like, if they need to disclosures like through email or like through some other way. So then it cuts down on my time and like the signer's time through virtual notarization to like 20 or 30 pages. So
that's awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah. So I like it, but, it's worked out so far.
I didn't know, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know that was an option because I just kind of took the package as is.
Yeah, no, cause I asked them, I was, it was like a light bulb moment and asked somebody, cause I don't know what has to be within whatever, but like obviously make sure that the notarization, the pages that has to be put together. Sorry, I'm not making sense.
So you're fine.
That has to be put together as far as like the complete package of each thing that needs to be notarized. But like they have like sometimes 100 pages of something that doesn't need to be notarized. They're just so used to sticking it all within the package. So once I talked to them, I was like, do we need this in here? And it was just them looking at me blankly for like a little while. And they're like, no, like, can we take this out? Like, was that an option? They're like, let me check. So they checked. And so now there's a good amount of the title companies that I work with just send me exactly what I need. So,
oh, that's amazing. I should definitely ask about that and just kind of plant the seed because man, it's rough sometimes, like going through, hundreds of documents.
Yes.
And it's like, it's a lot. And so even though we can go and tag the pages, that's nice, right? So it's not like we're like really dragging out the signing, but that could really cut down a signing time in half.
Mm-hmm.
So you're making, more money in less time.
Yeah.
Time is of the essence. So I love that. I definitely have to try that. I'm going to bring it up.
Okay.
Love it.
Yeah. So, but I think that I know that people have been saying like, oh, with like the loan signings and everything in the job market, or not the job market, but the housing market, like if you're a new notary, it's not the time. I don't agree. I think that it's like a perfect time because that's the same thing that what I did. Like when I first started the housing market, everybody was like, going crazy as far as like loan signings and like getting so many signings. And then it dropped off pretty much as soon as I started. And I was like,
yes.
Oh no, what do I do? Like, this is a big thing for me. And then I haven't found that to be the case. So,
it's funny. I get asked that a lot too. Like, can you tell the difference between now or between then and now? And I tell people I wasn't a notary then.
Yeah.
I only know what it's like now. So for me, I'm like, this is the starting point. I don't have a reference in the boom when everyone was doing the refis and the craziness, right? I wish I was a notary back then. Man, if I would have known about it, I could have left my job so much sooner. But yeah, I get asked that a lot. And I'm like, I can't tell a difference. So, and I have also found that to not be the case. When you build that relationship with your client and they send you signings because they want to work with you consistently, it doesn't matter. They will send it to you. And so I haven't noticed that to be the difference either. But I feel like I personally right now am focusing a lot on attorneys rather than title. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I feel like the title companies, I mean, they it seems like they're not really kind of moving towards RON. It seems like they're still stuck with like mobile, and I'm just tired of banging my head against the wall trying to build that relationship to get them to like send me RON work when I'm like, you know what, maybe I should try a different avenue. And so recently I decided, well, since the conference, when I got to meet with gosh, you guys, if you don't go to the conference, you should, because you can network with so many people there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I met a woman that was there on behalf of her law firm. They were looking for RONs for notaries, and we had just so happened to like strike up a conversation. And ever since I spoke with her, I decided, I'm like, you know what? I really need to change my marketing, and I really need to start thinking outside the box, because to be honest with you, I really love doing estate packages. I think they're very intimate. Yeah. They're very much like, you know, you're working with the client. These are very important documents. They're going through life changes. And that's more my road, right? Like loan signings are great. You're all happy. They're buying a house, or they're making a lot of money selling a house, you know? Yeah. Those are great too. But I think estate packages, they have a different vibe to them. And I do like working with attorneys. And so I decided, I'm like, you know what, I think I'm going to go all in on law firms and attorneys and see where that leads me. And so, yeah, that's kind of the switch I decided to make. But I for sure am not going to stop marketing to title companies. You know, that industry is never going to go away. But I'm thinking like, maybe I want to start being more proactive with my general notary work, you know, and thinking about doing those estate packages, because I know a lot of people don't know this, but estate packages, I mean, you can invoice the attorneys for just as much as you would for a loan signing. So we're talking, you know, you could be doing an estate package for $200, you know? And so it's all about how you are invoicing the client, and, you know, obviously follow your state laws. I follow my state laws, you know, we got to put a disclaimer in there, but I make sure to set up my invoice when I'm billing them for the amount of stamps that are in the signing, and then an administrative fee for setting up that, you know, package. Yes. Document preparation, right? Yes. So follow your state laws, everybody. But I'm just saying, you could be making the same amount of money doing an estate package versus a loan signing. Like, there are options out there. Yes. Yeah. And like, I think that since I work with a lot of lawyers, and I've been doing networking with them as well, like, I know that our system is overloaded in general with, as far as like for what notaries need to do, because there's nothing that's going away with litigation. And if anything, it's just getting to be more. So that's a perfect like introduction. Like, yes, you're right. I don't think that law firms is a bad way to go as far as marketing. Like, I think that's an untapped market. Or being able to you know, make a diverse business base. So and there's attorneys in every niche, right? So like real estate attorneys, they're going to be giving you loan signings. Healthcare attorneys, they're going to be medical power of attorneys. Estate planning attorneys, those are like the estate packages. Like, you could work in a whole bunch of different niches, you know, which is kind of cool. And I think it's kind of fun to diversify a little bit and try out, like, I mean, as a notary, can you tell me how you've probably seen all kinds of different documents under the sun, right? Literally anything could be notarized. Yes. Yeah. So my favorite within the law firms are usually like adoption things. Because I think it's so much fun, because like, I'm gonna cry, but like, it's so much fun that like they are doing this. Like, it could have been like a really long journey, and then like the final culmination of like, yes, you get to
have the family, like, cemented on paper, basically. Like,
you're helping someone, their dream come true of having a child.
Yes. Yeah. So that's fun. I like when I do like immigration law and everything like that. That's also usually fun to do when you're getting all of that taken care of. And then, the final pieces and everything, that's always fun. And then the nice thing about virtual notarization and like Ron is that we can do it even if the clients are in, like their home countries or anything like that. Like it broadens the scope of where these people can be to be able to notarize these documents. So it saves them on a ton of time going to embassies or like consulates or coming to the United States to try and find a US based notary. So
absolutely. Yeah. I just did a signing for someone in Costa Rica yesterday. And I love international signings too. And that's another thing working with attorneys is you can have access to those international signers. And again, you could charge a little bit of an extra administrative fee for international signings. There's money to be made for sure. And so I know that the international signings are one of my favorites. Of course, in my state, they have to be U.S. citizens doing business in the U.S. So I'm a little bit restricted on that, where it is in other states like Virginia, no social security number, no. They can their laws are very loose. They can notarize pretty much anything over in Virginia. So, you make sure you follow your state laws and double check everything. I'm just going to say that every single 15 minutes, every state is different.
As far as about BlueNotary, anything that you had a question about?
Yeah, so tell me about this new features that you have rolling out, because it sounds like BlueNotary is going through a lot of changes in the last month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very busy, doing new tutorials and everything to kind of update everybody. But one of the things that we just started is doing an observer feature. And that's available for the general notary work and the loan signings, that you can add different observers onto the signings. So that way, in case you needed someone that was like a translator, a construction worker that wanted to be on there for the general contractor, escrow officer. So then you can set them up so that way they can be on the call and have that logged, but then they won't be able to do anything as far as like signing. And there's no extra charge for that. And then they would automatically get a email to them afterwards. So it would take off a little bit more on your plate, because even if they don't come into the session, they would get an automatic email. So if you wanted to just set it up with title, just go right to them, even if they don't attend. So we did that as kind of a suggestion from all of our notaries. So as a notary relations director, I try and listen. And then also,
you guys do a great job of listening to the notaries. Honestly, kudos to BlueNotary for listening, because you guys have made a lot of changes that we've requested, right?
Yeah. So, and I'm in the back end of both things of they're like, well, can you do this? And I'm like, let me see, we will, we can, and so most of the time we can just do it. And then it's as simple as building in a little, I'm not a tech person, but it seems like it's as simple as building in a few extra
coding stuff. Yeah. We don't know anything about that. I'm not a coder.
I stick to the notarizations. So, but thank you so much for sitting down with me and having a little chat. I'm so excited to meet you again. I was a little starstruck when I met you the first time, because I was like, I know you. Yeah. Because when I first started, I was like, okay, I watched your stuff, and I'm really, really excited and proud of you for what you've done, and it can be hard to put yourself out there, and you're doing a great job. So you're helping.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I definitely came home from the NNA conference feeling so overwhelmed. My social battery was just on overload when we were over there.
Yeah.
And I'm naturally actually very introverted, and I have a social battery that can last only a certain amount of time, and then I crash. So when we came home from the conference, I was out for probably like 2 or 3 days, just like doing,
yeah,
you know, it was crazy, but it was so great to meet you over there. It was so great to meet Andy and Ty and just the whole team. And it was just so fun. And thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really am here to serve the notary community, you know, in the best way that we can, provide free information, help them in their business, you know, because we want everybody to be successful. At least I do, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys do too. Yeah. So, you know, we're here to lift everybody up and make sure that they are successful in their notary business. And, you know, just keep on keeping the positivity going, you know, no matter what is going on in our economy. You know, and you know, it's funny because my friend and I were talking about this the other day. No matter what is going on in the economy, if you own a business, I mean, you could still, you know, you have what it takes to get through it. That only going to show, like right now, if you're struggling or if you are hanging on in your business, once the economy passes and things start getting better, imagine how good you're going to be doing in a couple of years from now when things get better, right?
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to think about how far we've come as notaries and how far we are going to go as notaries. I mean, I'm excited for the future. I know I am.
I am too. Yeah.
Yes.
And how can we find you as more resources, like on how to look you up and follow you?
Yeah, so I'm mostly on TikTok, and TikTok is Destinee.irons, my full name. And then I am on YouTube. I don't really have a whole ton of notary stuff on YouTube. I'm working on it. I'm working on getting better at YouTube. And then I do have an Instagram at Ron Rockstar Community. But yeah, really TikTok is where you can find me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Katie.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. All right, bye.
Bye.